Hello everybody. I know a lot of people have just gotten Madden and are just trying to learn everything they can this late in the year and essentially playing catch up. And I've been there, so I know it can be frustrating. But whether you're trying to get good at Madden to play in franchise or even in MUT, you still have to know how to beat the CPU, and if that's the case, this is for you. In franchise, you not only want to win, but you also want to get good stats for your players so that they can develop faster. And for MUT, well, we've all had to get really good at beating the computer because we have to grind out those challenges, and they can be exhaustingly irritating at times. So we've all just found ways to beat the computer fast so we can get in and out of those challenges as quickly as possible. But new players are really going to struggle because their lineups are going to be lower rated, and the challenges just become that much more annoying and difficult as a result. And I have yet to see a video giving just simple sound advice on how to destroy the computer on All-Madden. So that's what we're going to do here. Now we're going to keep this video as short as possible, so I'm going to try to hurry it along. The tips and plays I give here don't necessarily unlock the true power of each player tip, you guys. Again, because we're just focusing on simply destroying the CPU. But a lot of these tips and plays can be useful when playing humans too, so that's just a note. So if you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps me build my channel, you guys. So anyway, let's get to it. And just another quick note, every play and formation I talk about in this video can be found in either the Jets offensive playbook or the Chiefs defensive playbook. Just go to maddenschool.com if you want to find other playbooks that have these specific plays or formations if you need to. First, we're going to talk about defense. This is actually going to be pretty easy. The CPU can sometimes just come out on crack, just steroidal ridiculousness, and the CPU quarterback suddenly becomes, I don't know, Dan Marino's more successful uncle or something. And in these highlights you're seeing, you'll see some of that. But I have found a couple of things that really minimize this and make it almost impossible for the CPU to get touchdowns or even score. In fact, in the last 5 or 6 franchise games I've played against the CPU on All-Madden, they've scored, I think, 1 touchdown and 2 field goals, and those were just because of fluky stuff that happened. So the first tip against the CPU on defense is formation. There are tons of defensive formations that can be, pretty glitchy against the CPU. But my suggestion is to use the 4-3 even 6-1 defense or the dime defense. And the gameplay you're seeing here is in fact the 4-3-6-1. If you need tips on how to run these defenses, just check out the video I made recently on the 4-3-6-1 and the dime. But these formations will stuff the run. They're going to play the pass really well, and they're going to get you sacks and interceptions. And the sacks are going to come mostly from your defensive linemen. So if you're playing franchise, instead of having a cornerback or safety get 25 sacks in a season, if you run dollar, you're going to be able to get sacks mostly from your box players instead of the defensive backs, which is going to help you progress them faster. My personal preference is to run the Sam Will Blitz 3 out of the 4-3 even 6-1. I will run this formation probably, 80, sometimes even 90+% of the time against the computer in almost every situation. It just works. Stay consistent, and even if the computer burns you, with that sort of steroidal offense for a couple of plays, this defense almost always eventually, and that means within just a play or two, shuts that stuff down. Just trust me on this. The next tip is do not user alignment or put your linebacker user on a blitz if you're playing the CPU. Usering alignment, and that includes blitzing your user, it triggers an insane sort of intelligence or urgency from the CPU quarterback, meaning that the CPU cornerback is going to be making just extremely fast reads, and they're going to start dotting you up. We've all seen it, and we've all felt it, and this may be the reason why if you're doing this, okay? When I say they're dotting you up, I mean even against guarded players. It's just like an instant steroid injection for the CPU quarterback. So don't use your defensive lineman against the CPU. Which leads us into the next and the final tip on defense. Do not over-adjust against the CPU. Now it's okay to make defensive line adjustments and to shade your coverages underneath or over top, but always user your middle linebacker and put your user in a zone and keep your coverages stock, okay? Trust me on this. It makes the CPU just more hesitant to throw in your area, and it gives you time for the routes to be just better covered. You can easily destroy the computer by coming out in the 4-3-6-1 Sam Blitz 3 or the Cover 3 Blitz out of dime. And all you have to do is simply press your coverage, pinch your line, and crash them down. And that's all you have to do. Just hover your middle linebacker between the two defensive tackles until the ball is snapped, drop back, and just watch the sacks, the tackles for loss, and the interception stats just go crazy for you. And that's really it on defense, you guys. I know this sounds simple, almost too simple, but that's the beauty of it. Just play stock coverage, don't do too much, and use the 4-3-6-1 or the dime, and you'll see the computer just gets mauled most of the time. I promise you guys. On offense, you only really need to have just a few plays that you can torch the defense with. When I'm playing franchise, I really like to develop my running backs quickly, so I like to beef up my rushing stats, and I'm sure a lot of you guys like to do the same thing. Also, having a strong running game can really help you chew the clock and limit offensive possessions for the CPU. So to do that, you need to have a strong and dependable running game with at least one solid outside run, one solid inside and or weak side run, and a super solid go-to RPO when it comes to running. Now there are tons of these plays out there, but I'm just going to give you guys a couple of really quick ones. In the IForm slot, use the stretch alert bubble. You could actually, theoretically, almost use just this play to beat the CPU, even on All-Madden, because you can pass or run, and the computer seems to dumb out on both. And you can audible to the weak side run when you see a gap on the weak side of their defense. Or you can audible to the Y spot play, streak your outside receiver, and get an easy corner route completion. And the good news is the adaptive AI won't be turned on for RPO plays, so you can spam them as much as you want. You can also literally destroy the CPU by using the IForm Close formation and audibling between the IForm Close and the IForm slot. And the runs and passes from these formations, if you want to get some more in-depth tips on how to run these plays, just check out my video on those two formations. But the IForm Close has two of the best CPU beating money plays out there, the PA deep out and the PA tight end leak. In fact, when I'm in trouble against the computer, I'll inevitably go to one of these plays. And here's a quick tip. If you want to spam the PA tight end leak or the PA deep cross, just substitute in a tight end at your fullback position, and you can even sub in a tight end at one of your receiver positions. If you do that, adaptive AI is going to be turned off because the CPU isn't going to be able to match the personnel because they have to have the same number of linemen and linebackers that you have linemen and tight ends. And these two plays are as close to money against the CPU as you can get. Again, watch my video on the IForm Close and IForm slot, and you're going to be able to just torch the CPU on any difficulty. Now here's an amazing play against the CPU that's going to gain you huge chunks of yards. It's probably my favorite play against the computer because it's so easy. Out of the gun empty, bunch open, select drive Y corner. This play requires only one hot route, and so it can be quick snapped, and that saves you time and annoyance. You can literally score a touchdown using this play, oftentimes in just seconds, or in just 2 or 3 plays. Just streak your X receiver and read either the streak or the corner route on the right side, or your wheel route on the left side is going to be open much of the time. It's just a killer, very easy to set up play. And as a side note, you can also catch human opponents sleeping on this play. It's very similar to the flood out of bunch. It's just super effective. And here's one more play against the CPU out of the single back tight end formation, and that's the cross drag. All you have to do on this play is to streak your tight end. Now against a human, there's a really good setup out of this play that's pro level, but that's for another video. I just wanted you guys to be aware. But you can easily just stay in the pocket, or what I personally like to do a lot of the times is just scramble underneath the halfback out to the right, and either that deep crosser or the shorter crosser or drag are going to be open almost every play. It's an awesome play, and it just kills the CPU. Finally, I got 2 special teams tips for you. First is how to return kicks better. You can do whatever you want in terms of running back kickoffs, but it does really help to click onto one of the closer blockers and send them in a particular direction. You'll oftentimes see this helps open up pretty big holes that you can run through. So you just shoot that blocker up before your return man catches the return, and you'll see some extra holes open up that you might be able to shoot through. This is not 100% of the time tip, but over time you're going to see this really helps get extra yards on your kick returns. Also, be very careful about fumbling on kickoffs. Unless I see huge holes or at least interesting holes open up, Most often, I'm just going to use the sideline to help so that if I do get tackled and I fumble, it's most likely going to fly out of bounds and I'm going to be able to keep possession. And the last tip is how to cheese the computer when kicking off. I will routinely score 50 plus points against the CPU on All-Madden, with 6-minute quarters, obviously. And if I don't score at least 42 or 49, I'm pretty disappointed. And one of the ways you can do this is to get 1 or 2 or sometimes even more kickoff return fumbles. And it's pretty easy. So when you kick off, kick to the far left or the far right. Once the screen flips after you've kicked off, wait about a half second and click on a player. Usually it's going to be one of the 2 players closest to the sideline, okay? And those are the players you want to click on. It'll highlight one of those guys, run him directly to the sideline. Now you can either just keep this guy on and just keep running down the sideline until he has a clear shot at the ball carrier, or you can click off the player. Whichever player you click onto, just kind of run toward the hash marks and maybe even into an outside blocker. It's either going to free up the guy that you ran to the sideline for an easy hit stick on the return man, or it's going to open up a lane for another guy to come in that you can just quickly highlight and just get a hit stick. It doesn't work every single play, but it does work fairly often. And again, even just 1 or 2 fumbles can really beef up your score and beef up your stats. So you guys, it's really not hard to beat the CPU on All-Madden. You just have to know some of these concepts and just be able to execute them. They're very simple. I'm telling you, the tips in this video are all you need, and you can just bully the CPU every single time. Best of luck to you guys, and please don't forget to like and subscribe because it really helps me build my channel. Have a great day.